All right, there we go. And there's my morning reminder to check all my position sizes, which I have actually already done. So I know I'm good. Let's go ahead and kick this off because I wanted to have some time to give a little bit of an overview of like what I'm doing here. What's this all about? And what are you seeing for those of you who may not be super familiar with Sierra Chart? Although I'm well, actually, I'm curious. Show of, I guess not really show of hands, but show of I don't know, show of me's in the chat. If you do not currently use Sierra Chart or have never used Sierra Chart or are new to Sierra Chart or are thinking of using Sierra Chart, etc., throw a me in the chat. I'm just curious to know if there's anybody here who is not from the Sierra Chart world. Oh, Brent. Well, I thought you already had Sierra, Brent. Okay, I'm totally mistaken. Steve, really? Wow, I totally thought you were a Sierra guy too. Okay. Well, cool. I have learned something. Anybody else? Any other Sierra newcomers or people who are considering it? You switched to quant. By quant, you mean quant tower, I'm guessing, Michael? Yeah. Okay. I'm curious, was there a particular feature that got you to switch to quant tower? Or was there a specific thing that it did that you needed? Or did just in general you like it better? Or very interested to know what your reason is. You use it just for context. Yeah, just for context, Jeff. Interesting. That's kind of the opposite of what I usually hear from people is that, Sierra is where they use for like the detail, the order flow and things like that. Or maybe you just mean, oh, you know what? That's right. You use Jigsaw, I think, for execution, right? You're probably just differentiating between like, well, context, like you said, and then execution. Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Oh, so Quant Tower is just like easier to use. Yeah. To just kind of get up and running. I could kind of see that. I haven't used Quant Tower myself, but just from what I've seen of it, it seems like it's a little bit more user friendly. Sierra is definitely not the most user friendly out of the box when you first fire it up. But I always compare it to Photoshop because Photoshop's the same way. Like if you don't know Photoshop the first time you fire it up, you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this thing? I have no idea. Like nothing just does something. There's no buttons you can push to just get a result and see something interesting. You have to learn it. And Sierra is very much the same way. But once you do, oh man, the power under the hood is freaking awesome. That's why I stuck with it this long and powered through the early learning curve and lots of early, what the hell is this doing? And headaches. So, all right. So most of you are Sierra Chart people. Clearly, that's sort of what I expected. So what I'm doing here, obviously, quite a few of you are TRG. Not all of you are TRG in case. Oh, actually, I should probably not assume everybody even knows what TRG is. So TRG, Trading Research Group, where I am the community manager, although I started as just a customer like anybody else. I was a student, joined in March of 2020. Yeah, that's right. Because they started in late 19. So 2020 and became officially, I was helping out behind the scenes for a while just because I have a background in video production, but officially formally took the reins as community manager in January of 21 and have been doing that ever since. And also just, of course, honing my trading. Ooh, cannot speak this morning. Training my trading. There we go. But I'm also a fanatic about automation and efficiency, workflow, things like that. Anytime I've always been like this. Anytime I find myself in a computer in software, if I do the same operation more than once, like if there's a particular operation I do with any frequency whatsoever, I don't want to use the mouse for that. I'm not a mouse. I don't like using the mouse if I can help it, because the mouse is just slow and inefficient, and I would much rather hit a button. And I'm also, maybe it's because I'm a piano player. I'm a pianist. I have been a musician my entire life, and so pressing things with my fingers feels very natural to me, and it's a lot like playing an instrument. So I used to, go back to the 80s. I would use quickies. I never known if it's quick keys or quickies. But anyway, quickies, the early macro software on the Mac. And I would make hotkeys for stuff. Anytime I found myself doing the same thing more than once with the mouse, I was like, okay, that's stupid. I don't want to keep doing that. I'm going to make a key for that. And then eventually that led to chaining things together. And I could have one keystroke that, pushed 6 buttons and clicked a thing and dragged to something. And, you could do these chains of events. And that was early automation for me. And it's always stuck with me. And I've always been obsessed with automating away anything I can for efficiency purposes. But when it came to trading, there's another huge reason to investigate automation. And that is, of course, I think most of us probably know and probably agree that we are the weak link in our trading. The human. It's the human being who screws up. The human being makes human mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes are psychological mistakes, feed, Greer, FOMO, all the Greer, feed and Greer. Did I really just say feed and Greer? Fear and greed. Wow, I really can't speak this morning. Anyway, fear and greed. But other times they're just fat. Donnie, you're not wrong. I'm super excited about this. This is going to be so much fun. I've been looking forward to this all for the last week solid since I thought of the idea of I should do something live. This is going to be cool. Anyway, yes, I will take a deep breath and slow down. So the other human mistakes that we make are just, fat finger mistakes, right? We hit the wrong thing. We buy when we meant to sell, or, I don't know about you. Any of you ever, or am I the only one who ever has your hands on the mouse and you just get a little twitch and you click a button? You click the right click or you click the left click or, whatever, you're hovering over the dome or something like that. And you accidentally click. Yeah. You've done that, Donnie. Exactly. Oh, that is the worst. Oh my God. There's nothing to make you just feel dumber than you're not even doing anything. You don't mean to do anything and your finger just twitches and you click. Oh, that is the worst. So anyway, that kind of stuff, right? I want to eliminate the possibility of that kind of stuff. And of course, I started my first efforts in automation go back 20 years. I was trying to automate stuff in my earliest days of trading in the 2000, 2001. No chance back then. Absolutely not. At least sure as hell not at the retail level. I'm sure the big program traders of the day, we didn't really have the algo traders yet, but the program traders back in the day, I'm sure they had ways to automate stuff. Obviously, that's what program trading was. But a retail trader, no, you couldn't automate a damn thing. And so those efforts never even got off the ground, quite frankly. But then, a lot changed in 15 plus years. And so I went back and revisited automation, 2018, 19, and 20. And of course, you get ahead of yourself. You start trying to automate things before you even really understand what you're doing. And understanding I didn't even understand that I didn't understand. I literally didn't have the awareness that I was missing awareness about things. And so I was trying to automate TA stuff and, when the MACD does this and the RSI is above 80 and this happens, and, all that kind of stuff, price-based TA automation, silliness, the trading view and early thinkorswim, ThinkScript and, things of that nature. And, it just never worked. It was so maddening, and I would do back testing and it would just never work. So with order flow, things changed, and I've spent TC 2000 exactly, Steve. Yep, I'm right there with you. And with order flow though, the things change because all of a sudden you can automate reacting to the supply and demand in the market in real time. And that is mind blowing. That is super powerful. And, the thing is, you can't just jump into it. You can't do it out of the gate and just think that, in my case, blue, not green, but whatever, blue delta buy, red delta sell, it doesn't work that way. And those of you who've been in TRG, obviously, this, and those of you who have studied order flow and understand things like absorption and exhaustion and that kind of stuff, passive sellers and buyers, aggressive buyers and sellers, et cetera, you get it. But you can get a script, a bot, whatever you want to call it. You can program looking at that stuff. And if you understand your setup, and I mean really understand it, then you can code it. And that is the key element, is understanding it, though. You have to understand it first. And that's why, I've spent the last 3 years in TRG just understanding my setups, or what we call our Bubba in TRG. It's the thing you do that is your thing. And for me, my thing has become what Lee refers to as the inside out trades. And so that's trading from somewhere inside the range to outside of the range based on various factors. And so I have, call it taught. It's not really teaching, but whatever. I have instructed Sierra chart on what to look for and how to react to it. And that's, of course, it's not the be all end all. This is not one Uber bot to rule them all. All right, we are open, and you'll notice my screen's just lit up. That is because on my domes here, I've got no evening session time. And there is actually a reason for that is very important, but it has to do with a Sierra chart limitation of looking in the order flow and when things reset at the session start and stuff like that. So I won't bore you with that right now. I'll talk about that when we get into the workshop that's starting on Saturday. But right now, my bots are doing nothing. I have them designed. They sit out the first 5 minutes, what we call the open 5 in TRG. And that's because it's price discovery. It's too all over the place. It's too crazy. And so the bots can easily start getting signals in both directions and just get whipsawed all over the place. And it's just chaos. So I have them set to not trade the first 5 minutes. So they're not going to do a darn thing right now. Plus, you'll notice here, disabled. Everything is actually disabled anyway. I'm going to go ahead and enable trading so we can turn it on. And oops, I don't think I've got Sierra chart in focus. There we go. So trading is now active. The bots, however, are not. This is what I have found my job needs to be now, is rather than being the trader, I want to be the conductor, to put it in musical terms, right? I don't want to be playing the instrument. I want to be conducting the orchestra, and I want to be sitting back and just making the executive decision on where the opportunities exist and when to turn on something to capitalize on them. Because we're really good at that. For all the mistakes that we make, the emotional mistakes and all that kind of thing. And for all the things that bots are really good at doing. Of course, they're fast, right? They can capitalize on an event in the order flow that is there for milliseconds, and they can grab it. But by the time our brain even realizes it was there, we can be 2 or 3 seconds off the event, and we've completely missed it. But what bots are generally not that great at doing, and you can try to code them to do this, but it's freaking hard, is understanding the context, understanding the bigger picture of kind of what's going on. How's our correlation doing? That's a big one for me. That's why I have these 4 correlation domes over here. And I've actually got them. You may be wondering, like, they're sized weirdly. It's because I am looking at them relative to ATRs. This is those of you in TRG know the deal here. This is a Lee trick, but projecting the potential ranges and seeing, like, if today is an average day, where could we get? Where might we be able to get to? And so that is what's going on there. And I'm just looking at these relative to ATRs. So that's why, RTY right now is real small, but ES has already traversed most of its range. These are also Globex, by the way, in case you're wondering. These are full Globex domes. I look at Globex primarily. These are 30-minute domes, or footprints, really. They're 30-minute footprints. And that's what I have the bot executing on, but it is looking at the session as well. It's getting clues from the session. So we are 3 minutes out. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start to look for potential I don't mean setups in the trading sense, but setups as in conditions are setting up that there could be some opportunities for the bot. Right now, it's looking long. Everybody is pushing up. We're getting pretty decently correlated here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and start turning the bot on. They still won't trade until the first 5 minutes are up, but I am going to go ahead and turn on the ES because it's looking like it's got some potential opportunities about to brew. I am also going to turn on RTY. It's looking similar. And you know what? I'm going to turn on everybody because we're looking north here. Everybody's pushing up, and I think we could have some good opportunities this morning across the board. This could be a better day than I was thinking we might have. I was really worried yesterday, got nothing. And conditions were just rangy and really crap. So I just got nothing. Today could get really interesting. And I'm just going to sit back and watch the bots run. Okay, why are you, Sierra? You always turn that on. That's going to annoy me. There we go. All right. I do have all 4 of my trade windows here, and that is, their emergency brakes. Think of them that way, just in case something goes off the rails, I can get flat. This is one bot. It's the same exact bot trading across 4 markets. So it's the same exact thing doing the same exact thing. There's no difference between them. And it is looking for opportunities at the ledge. All right, we are past the 5 minutes, so it's possible that we'll get some trades here. Well, let's see. I don't know. I'm just going to sit back and watch. But those of you in TRG, you'll understand this. It's trading towards unfinished business at the ledge. And yes, and that's exactly right. This is what you're seeing here is the bot that I am going to show everybody how to make. There we go. First trade is in YM. It is a long, and it is right at the ledge, and should push higher. Let's see. I don't see any signs that we're not going to push higher down. Long. There we go. Boom. All right. We got an NQ trade going off. And let's see. There we go. We got the YM. ES is now long. Yeah, this is looking like it's going to be a good day. NQ's just kind of thinking, waiting, doing its thing. So yeah, I'll just talk to the workshop. I don't sell bots. I've had people write to me and say, "Oh, can you make me a bot to do this, that, or the other, whatever?" And I mean, the answer is yes, I can. I'm capable of doing that. But I don't enjoy that. That's not really my thing. I'm not in this to be a commercial black box bot maker. I'm in this. I like to work with people on things, and I don't really just want to make a bot and try to sell it. But I really like working with somebody, sitting down with them and walking them through their idea and building it with them and collaborating with them on that. And I did that recently for somebody a few weeks ago, and he had a particular setup he wanted to automate. And so we did it was about 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours over a couple of sessions. And we just sat there together on a live, on a Zoom, and shared screens. And I just built it with him. And, we just went back and forth on his idea, and we built the thing, and it worked out really well. And it was really fun. And it got me thinking, I bet there's plenty of other people who could really use this. All right, I'm just going to talk to this now because the NQ is getting killed. And this is actually, I might take this. This might be the first loss. All right. Bot just took the first loss it has taken since I started running it. That sucked. I will admit that is a statistical extreme anomaly. Wow. All right. Well, I mean, that's the thing about playing statistics, and that's what I'm doing. Now I have to ask myself the question, has something fundamentally changed? I don't think so. I'm looking at the correlation. I'm looking at the behavior. And for as much as NQ did just traverse the entire range, I don't see an overarching behavioral change. Let's take a look at the heat map here. This is a Thinkorswim heat map, in case you're wondering. This is not Sierra. I don't see anything especially going on. There's not a lot of red. We're predominantly neutral to blue. Yeah, I don't see any fundamental underlying change. This is it, by the way, I should have stated also, this is an evaluation account with Bulanox, however you say it, in case you're wondering what I'm trading here. The heat map is, a Sierra chart does not have a heat map. That is true. That is Thinkorswim, and it is, well, quote unquote free. You have to have an account with them. I think you can open an account without putting any cash in. This is my old account. I've had this account since 2000, I think, 99, 2000, something like that. It's got no money in it. It's just sitting there. But I just use it. So yeah, NQ, incidentally, but when I'm trading myself, when I'm just doing my own trading, I don't touch NQ ever. NQ is not my instrument. I am strictly an ES trader. Okay. So YM got an entry and pushed past it. I'm going to go ahead and cancel it, because the conditions I look for at the ledge are no longer present. We'll let it get another trade if one sets up. So yeah, NQ is not my instrument at all. I don't normally trade it. So, it can, if anything is going to bite me, it doesn't surprise me that it would be NQ. That is unfortunate, but I'm counting cards here is the way Lee likes to put it. This is counting cards. This is playing statistics. And if you have any familiarity like with NQ has re-entered several times actually at this point. But if you're familiar at all with card counting, that's what I'm doing here. And in card counting, if you know blackjack and you know card counting, you know that you have to play the system. And occasionally you're going to lose, and you might even lose big. But you have to understand you're in it for the long run. You're not in it for one hand or even one game or one night or whatever. You have to be in it for the long haul, because over time, you know what your edge is. You know you have a probability statistical edge that will work in your favor over time. So that's what I'm doing here. So, that was a crappy trade to get stuck in, but, that's part of the game. And that was really unusual. I actually, I've been running these bots live on this account for a week and a half now, 2 weeks through. Where are we at? Oh God, we're already halfway through June. Holy crap. I guess it's been about 3-4 weeks, something like that now. And that's the first losing trade it's taken. And of course it had to be on a live Zoom, but hey, that's the way it rolls. So that is statistically very unusual. And, in fact, speaking of statistics, here's a fun thing for those of you. In fact, is Robert here? Robert, are you here? Are you here, Robert? You are here. Okay, Robert, here's a fun one for you. You may have even already looked at this. I know a lot of times the things I throw your way, you've already looked at. But ask yourself the question, and I'm going to cancel that as well, because again, it wanted to get long, but the conditions went away. How often is there unfinished business at the ledge in A or B period that becomes the high or low of the day and stays unfinished? And hopefully that made sense. Again, how often is the A or B period high or low, unfinished business, and also the high or low of the day? And I won't spoil it. I'll let anybody who wants to explore that idea explore for themselves. But it's a very interesting, useful statistic to look at. And that is a core statistic that I am playing here. And I'm looking for things to continue along. I'm still at the moment not seeing anything. I don't see any change. Everybody is still pushing up. The opportunities are all to the long side. NQ has had quite a few more opportunities since. It's just, $20 at a time, chipping away. That's what this bot is. This bot is, I call it the unfinished ATM. And that's the reason why it's taking 2 ticks in ES and 5 ticks and everything else, is just because it's $20. It is an arbitrary target. It could be more. Probably wouldn't make sense to do much less, but I picked $20 just because basically it sounded good. Honestly, that's the reason I chose $20. And as part of the workshop, I like the idea of we're going to build an ATM machine. It's going to spit out $20 bills. So speaking of the workshop, if you want to know how to build this and be actually walked through it every single step of the way, you can join me for that. The workshop is starting this Saturday. In fact, hold on a second here. Let me grab. Where do I have it? Somewhere. Where are you? Is this it? Yes, I think this is it. Let's see. Yes, this is it. If you want to, oops, come on. There we go. Go away. Come on. Let me try to fit this on screen here. Can I make that go away? That's annoying. Go away. Why am I viewing you? I don't want to see that. Go, you're annoying. There we go. That's what I was looking for. All right. So if you want to join on the workshop, you can do so. This is the schedule for the workshop. It's about, in the schedule, it's like 10 plus hours, but it might be more like 12 to 15. I don't really know exactly how many hours it's going to work out to be. It's going to depend on how many questions and answers there are and things like that. But this is the tentative schedule. Starts this Saturday, and you can register for it now at trgp.nl. Get it? PNL, TRGPNL. Bad joke from Lee. Blame him. trgp.nl/automate. And this is what I'm going to walk you through, is how to do exactly this. We're going to build the bot 2 different ways. This is all using stock Sierra chart stuff. Actually, Lance, no. Well, sort of. We are going to build this 2 different ways. This version you're seeing here is not spreadsheet based. This is just using built-in Sierra chart studies. Everything is stock in the version we're going to build in the workshop. This version you're seeing here is actually using a couple of free third-party studies, just because there are a couple of minor improvements I wanted to make to it that I'm going to discuss in the class that Sierra chart doesn't have out of the box. There are other ways to achieve them within Sierra chart. You could do them in spreadsheets, but I just felt like doing it with studies for this one. But I'm going to go through that in depth in the workshop and explain exactly what those small improvements are and why I felt they were necessary. But we are also going to build a spreadsheet version that same bot, but improved a bit, because there are some things you can do in spreadsheets that you can't do in studies, or at least can't do easily. So there are reasons to use spreadsheets. I'm a big fan of spreadsheets. I use them a lot, specifically because there are things that spreadsheets can do that studies-based can't. So yeah, that's why I like to use those. All right. So NQ is being a right bugger, to don my non-British accent. Wow. I'm not in a trade, so it's not hurting me, but man, NQ is just wildly out of step. The question, when this happens, the question I start asking myself is NQ telegraphing something and everyone else is going to turn around and follow? Does NQ know something the rest don't? Or is NQ just weak? Let's look at NQ. But see, NQ is strong. It's overall up. I mean, Broadcom's down a little. Lam Research, whoever they are. A couple of little ones. I mean, I don't see anything major. It could be anything, Alex. Who knows? I don't really worry too much about the why. This is a terrible week for this, incidentally. But the workshop is starting Saturday, and today was the day with no other TRG events on the calendar, so it had to be today. But this week, I mean, we just rolled the new contract, right? So I'm 2 days into the new contract, which is not great. FOMC is tomorrow, and typically the day before FOMC day is super rangy and gets stuck and it doesn't get real directional, and that's going to be bad for my bots generally. So I was really not thrilled about the fact that I had to do it today, but that's when it had to be. So what are you going to do? And actually, all things considered, except for that one NQ trade, it's done all right. And NQ, again, I don't trade NQ generally at all. But I don't trade NQ period at all. But I've been letting the bot do it, just kind of to see if it could, quite frankly. I built this to trade ES. And then after, a couple of weeks of running well on ES, but some days having no or minimal opportunities, it got me thinking, like, I wonder if I could just turn it on the other markets. What would happen? So I did. And it did pretty much exactly the same. Of course, today I decided to be different because that's what can happen. But, again, I'm card counting, so it's the way it goes. But wow, NQ. All right, NQ wants to head lower. Wow. This is interesting. All right, we've got UB at the RTH low now, and it keeps breaking and reforming and so forth. It's pushing lower. So we might get some shorts here at NQ, which I'm wary of. I'm debating, do I want to leave the bot on for NQ right now and let it trade short? Well, the opportunity's gone now anyway. We don't have UB anymore. So it will only trade when there is UB at the ledge, and then the order flow conditions at specific spots have to set up. So right now it's not going to do anything anyway, but I'm just going to keep an eye on it. So my YM trade is getting spanked a little bit, not massively. But the question I'm having to ask is, again, has anything fundamentally changed? We have exceeded ATR in YM. So we've already done an average day. Both ES and YM. ES has gotten right to it. We're very close anyway, with a price rejector. But YM has no price rejector. It has surpassed its ATR. RTY is quite a ways still off of its ATR, so it could push further. This is proving dicey, which, I knew was possible. I mean, I said it in my my announcements about this is, failure is always an option. Anything could happen. This could blow up spectacularly. I don't know how this is going to go. But right now, conditions still look up to me. I don't see any overarching change. So I'm going to let the YM play. Yeah, everything is one lots, Alex. This is it could trade more. I can do, and in fact, in some of my replay testing, I haven't done this live, but in some of my replay testing and stuff, I have done multi-lot versions. I've let it go up to 5 lots. And it's interesting because what it essentially starts to do, for those of you who are in TRG, you'll know what I'm talking about here, is it essentially starts to scalp around a core, because it'll get the first one on. And then, like in the case of YM here, right, it'll pull back and then it'll get another one and then another one and another one and another one. And then eventually it'll get back up there. But in the meantime, it got 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 more while it was waiting. So there's a lot of potential in multi-lot. The problem, of course, is multi-lot, right? Because what can also happen? Well, you can get loaded up with 5 and then the conditions have changed and it goes completely off sides and blows up. So this is where the human is involved, right? And this is why I say, I want to be the conductor. I want to be watching what's going on. And I want to be able to say, nope, something has changed. Conditions have changed. Something happened, whatever. I want to shut this off. The idea that you're going to run a bot on full auto and just turn it on in the morning and walk away, I think you can do it, sure, but I think it's very foolish. I would not do that at all. No way. That is extremely dangerous. I don't even like having to run to the bathroom or anything. It's like, I do not want to leave this chair when the bot is running. So let's see. ATR length is 21. Yeah, 21 days. It's the standard Lee thing. 21 day projected above the low and high. It's the standard Lee thing. Let's see. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Let's see. ESPNL. No, it's at $20. I guess it's gotten one trade. I haven't really been paying attention to the trade count. Let me just pop open the what do you call this thing? Trade activity log. That's the word I was looking for, or phrase I was looking for. Let's go find the right account. There you are. Apply. And yep, yes, has gotten one trade. That's why. So that's correct. $20. So RTY has got nothing because there's no UB on either side. So there's just no opportunities in RTY. It's too clean. The YM trade is still off sides, but still just kind of hanging. There is something, I'll just say something that I'm leery of, which is that although when this trade went on, there were, the conditions were correct, right? We had UB, everything was good, et cetera. But by the time the trade did not exit, it got put on, but it didn't exit, the UB resolved. So it pushed up, resolved the UB, did not get me out, and then came back down, which means that technically I no longer have valid conditions for a long trade. So I am a little concerned about this. I'm still not seeing any signs that we are for sure not pushing higher. I still feel like there's room to go. So I'm going to leave this alone and let it go. Again, I'm playing the stats, and I believe the stats are that we're still going to push to the upside. But that is the one thing right now that concerns me a little bit. Right now, there's no other opportunities anywhere. We've gone into ebb and flow, clean highs and lows everywhere. Just going to let this do its thing. We are, what time is it? Okay. We're 7 minutes out, 6.5 minutes out from B period.
Order filled.
Oh, somebody let's see. Oh, nope. Sorry. Never mind. I think that was my eval just going boom. Let's take a look. Let's see. Oh, that's weird. It didn't update. Oh, no, there it is. Yeah, I have a feeling my eval just went boom. Let's take a look and see. How do I check that? What's the easiest way? The easiest way is going to be nothing like blowing up an eval publicly. Yep, it's blown. All right, so account is dead. that can happen. It's that NQ trade. Well, that's the way it goes. All right, let me go ahead and just turn this off just to keep it from trying to signal stuff as we go. So this is me, playing a pure no intervention bot. I didn't want to intervene. I didn't want to override it. I wanted to just let it run and see what would happen, knowing full well that it's okay. If this eval blows up, it'll be $15 when it resets, and I'm not worried about it. This is actually why I keep this eval going. This is I want to experiment and play and test things in a semi quasi real account, but not really a real account that is real cheap. So that's the bot. You've now seen it in action, and there are many, many, many ways to improve it from here. I am in the workshop. I'm call it a framework. We're going to build a skeleton, the base bot, and it will function. It will work. It will trade. It will do, stuff like you've seen, but it doesn't really know anything about risk management. In fact, it has basically no risk management, exactly as you've seen here. It will let it go just completely to the other side of the range. And yes, you can always step in and manually risk manage, but it does not have any risk management at all, because that is something that is very individual, very personal. We are going to talk about ways you could risk manage, and I'm going to show some ideas around that and how you can do it and how you can automate risk management, et cetera. But this particular version, although like I mentioned, I made a few improvements to it, small ones beyond what the workshop version has, although I will show them during the workshop, but it does not have any additional risk management. I didn't give it any. You know what? Let's see. Let me think about this for a second. Oh, I completely forgot. I have another account. I forgot I have two of these little experimental eval accounts. I totally forgot I have a second one. Cool. All right, let's turn it back on. All right, there we go. We're live. Cool. And this is minis, by the way, Amy. And the target in NQ is, should have been 5, but it changed. Hang on, let me put that back to the 5-tick target, 5-tick bot target. There we go. 5 ticks in, bing, bing, bing. There we go. 5 ticks in NQ, YM, and RTY, 2 ticks in ES. And that's just an arbitrary number because $20 bills. That's why. There's lots of things you could do to improve beyond that. But that's what I chose for this. So, anyways, let me go back here. I missed some stuff in the chat here. Yeah, Lance, NQ's rubber bandiness, you're not wrong. And again, I don't trade NQ normally, and a part of why I don't trade NQ is that rubber bandiness. I want consistency in the order flow patterns and the way they play out. And you find the most consistency in those patterns, of course, in ES. And that's why ES is what this was built for. But then I just, thought, hey, why not? Let's see if it can work on the others too. And until today, it had. But that's the way it goes. But yeah, NQ maybe not the best suited for this because it is going for such a small thing. And when you're playing the statistics in NQ and you're not going to have any risk management other than the other side of the range, that's going to be big because NQ has big honking ranges. So yeah, that's the kind of decision that a human is really good at making. A human can look at something like NQ and go, you know what? I don't think I'm going to run that here. But it might look at, it's worked really well in YM. YM is very, very similar to ES in terms of its order flow, proceduralness, I guess you could call it. It's just, it follows the same types of patterns and things in ES. And RTY is not bad either. Although again, RTY today, very clean and very just hanging out. This is actually how it's behaving right now is kind of what I was thinking this morning would be across the board, very range bound because FOMC tomorrow. And so I was surprised when this morning out of the gate, we got that strong push. And I thought, wow, okay, this might turn out to be a great day. Who knows? But not so much. Let's see. And this is minis. Yeah. In evaluations, I don't trade micros because in evals, I want to be fairly aggressive and either blow them up quickly or pass them quickly. I don't want to spend a lot of time. I don't want to take months and months to pass an eval. And doing micros the way I trade, I'm not a high volume trader. I'm not going to do hundreds of trades in a day and trade 5 hours of the day. I don't do that. I trade, usually no more than the first hour. And I don't like trading beyond that because the statistical edge quickly evaporates past the first hour. to do my funded accounts. However, I am not trading currently with the bots, and I am trading those with micros. The funded accounts, I am just totally tiptoeing along with them, baby stepping them. Just a few bucks at a time. A really good day for me in those funded accounts is $100. That is a really good day. Usually it's 20, 30, $40 in a day, per account. And I'm trade copying in those. So I'm trading, what am I trading? I'm trading 3 Apexes, 4 Lilus, and 3 Bulenoxes. 3. Yes, that's 10. Yes. 3, 4, and 3. And I haven't yet. The bots, I do plan to. I'm a little leery of running the bots on my fundeds for 2 reasons. One, obviously, just because of I don't have good risk management yet. That's risk management is an area that I personally, as a trader and as a developing trader, I still struggle with. I have a very difficult time with risk management because I'm much too comfortable with risk. And this is true even in my cash accounts. Like I will sit in a cash account and it can go wildly against me. And if it hasn't hit my, arbitrary point or whatever way that I've decided, I'm not wrong until this, I'll just sit there and watch it go and lose a lot of money. And that's not healthy for the long-term longevity of the trader. So that is an area. That's why I'm not trading my cash accounts anymore these days. I'm trading evaluations and fundeds because the risk if I fall into those patterns is obviously a whole lot lower. But that's also part of why I want to work on automation so much, is because the automation, provided I give it some risk management, is going to adhere to it. It's not going to question it. It's not going to talk itself into moving its stop. It's not going to talk itself into taking that trade, even though it doesn't quite qualify, whatever. It's not going to do any of that stuff. It's just going to do what it's been instructed to do. So. Yeah. And that's, Ari, you've got a great thought there. That's, I'm going to talk about this kind of stuff in the workshop is what are some of the things, what are some of the ways to think of how could we improve this? And that is one area, is multiple consecutive losses. And I've done this before, not in a bot, but I did this. I built a spreadsheet at one point. This was a year or 2 now ago. I built a spreadsheet whose sole job, it didn't auto trade or anything. Its sole function was to alert me when I've had 2 trades in a row, and it would put up a big message on screen saying, 2 losers. And that way, it was really in my face, like, wow, okay, I've had 2 losses in a row. I need to think about what I'm doing. Like, what's wrong? Do I have a bad read today? Are conditions not appropriate for me? Like, what's going on? Make me stop and think about it. And that's the kind of thing you can absolutely build into a bot. No question about it. There are so many possible ways to risk manage depending on your own personal risk tolerance levels, comfort levels, all that kind of stuff. So right this moment, the bots are enabled, but there is no opportunities anywhere, none whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this back up again in case anybody still wants to join us. We do have some more room. We've gotten really good turnout for this. We're actually already slightly above my expected class size, or what I was hoping for, but that's great. More people will just make it that much more interactive, that much more fun. I'm really planning to run this as classroom style as I can. I would prefer everybody have a mic. We're not going to do webcams or anything. There's just all that does is kill Zoom's bandwidth for no good reason. But, I would prefer people to have a mic so that when it comes to discussing something, an idea or an improvement or, whatever, we can kind of go back and forth on it and kick ideas around and really make it interactive. That's just always so much better than typing in chat where it's really slow or it's not always easy to articulate an idea in chat and writing. Although that's a big thing I'm going to talk about in the workshop, is the value of being able to do that, of being able to express your idea in simple logic. If I see this condition and this condition and this condition, and then also this is happening, then do this or do this, that kind of thing. If, then, and, or. those are the building blocks you need. This is not a programming class. We're not going to do any C++, any Axel, none of that. We're not going to touch anything like that. And I know a bunch of you have already, you've heard that, and I've told you this. We've talked about it. We've got a bunch of actual programmers who are coming on this thing. I am not a programmer. I did grow up with a programmer. My dad was a programmer in the 60s, and obviously and beyond. But so I grew up around it, but I never had a good knack for it. He tried to teach me a bunch of times, a bunch of languages, and I just wasn't interested. It didn't grab me, because when you're learning to program, what are you doing? You're writing a database, or you're writing an address book, or you're writing boring stuff. And I wanted to make games. That was actually my thing back when I was a kid. All I really wanted to do was code games, and I wanted to skip right to that. And, it doesn't work that way. Of course, you got to learn the fundamentals first, but I just wanted to jump to the end and start there. But we are going to talk automation and ways that you can do it without needing to actually code anything. And Sierra is really crazy powerful. There's so many things that it gives you out of the box that I think people don't realize are there, just because there is so much. How do you go through it all? You can't look through every single possible feature, and it takes time to discover. I've just in the last couple of months, I've discovered all kinds of studies that Sierra has that I didn't realize were in there, and I'm now looking at them and I'm using them every day and going, oh my God, how did I not know this was there? This is so useful. So. And Karsten, you are so right. Ideas are a dime a dozen. They really are. A small anecdote to that point. Many, many years ago, I had a very brief business partnership with a guy, and we were working on the idea behind an automated advertising, marketing and advertising platform for pay-per-click marketers. This was back in like 2009-ish, I think. He was, the quote unquote idea guy. And I have ideas too. I wasn't like, not the idea guy, but we both had ideas, but he had no technical ability at all. None. I was purely the technical guy. I could actually like build stuff, and I could hire coders and run a team and, manage the project. And, I could handle all of that, getting the actual idea into reality. And the partnership was very short lived because he was very strange. He turned out to make me very uncomfortable, and made my partner very uncomfortable. And we just agreed that like, no, this needs to end. So, I broke it off with him. I told him, well, this venture is not going to move forward. And he did not take it well, got really pissed off. But what he was pissed off about was that, he needed to be paid for his idea. He needed to be compensated for his idea. His idea being something that was not especially novel, had been thought of and done before. We wanted to do it cheaper and maybe better and so forth. But, he really overvalued idea. And I tried to explain to him, like, ideas are everywhere. Ideas are plentiful. I have so freaking many of them, more than I could ever possibly act on. Ideas are not the real big part of the value proposition here, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. And I didn't do anything with the idea. I never pursued it at all, because it frankly wasn't really worth pursuing. But anyway, validating ideas, that's where it's at. And that's where I love that Sierra's got replay, right? Because you can do that. You can build a bot, or the idea, the bones of a bot, and then you can start to test it. And you're not testing it, unlike I think what most people think. Most people want to build some kind of automated trading thing, and then they want to run it in replay and see that it made $1 gazillion, and then they're done. Now they can just turn it on and they'll make $1 gazillion. And it's like, no, that's not what it's about. When I'm building an idea that I'm thinking I might want to deploy live, and I'm running it on replay, I don't care if it makes money or not. It isn't about that. For me, especially in the early stages, the thing for me is win rate. And this is a 97% plus win rate bot. The problem, of course, is the 3%, which we witnessed today. We saw NQ have one of those 3%, which happens 3% of the time. So that's statistics for you. And so what happens during the 3%? And that's where the data you gather from a replay is so invaluable, is it can tell you, okay, well, when this thing hits those 3%ers, here's what it tends to look like. And then you can start to decide on ways you can cut it off at the knees. Maybe you find that anytime it's gone more than $500 off sides, it never comes back. Well, then let's just start with an arbitrary stop at $500. How about that? We'll just something real broad and blunt, right? A blunt force instrument or blunt edged instrument. We'll just cut it off there and then see how it does. And then you discover other issues, because now when you cut it off at 500, that means there are additional trading opportunities that it takes that maybe you don't want it to because of who knows what time of day, any number of things, but it feeds back into the process. What you learn, you feed it back in, and you just keep iterating in that loop until eventually you start to get refined, and eventually you get it dialed into something that you feel like, okay, now instead of a 97% win rate bot, I have an 82% win rate bot. But during that 18% of the time when it loses, it only loses a maximum of, $300, whatever, something survivable. And that's the kind of bot that you can totally run with. So it's not about whether the bot makes a ton of money in replay or not. It's about what are the characteristics? What are the behaviors? What am I seeing in the data? And I'm going to talk a bunch about that as well in the workshop. We're going to get into some fun stuff like, in fact, here, hold on. I have somewhere. Oh, gosh, where is it? But there it is. Let's see. Is this it? I do believe. Yes, this is it. We're going to get into this stuff. We're going to start from, here's a spreadsheet dump of output from Sierra chart, and then we're going to throw it into a pivot table. I'll show you how to do that. And then we're going to turn it into pretty charts, which this chart will no longer, after today, look like this. It will look like kablooey. But you get the point. Is how do you do this? This is super, super valuable. Is being able to sift through data and look at it and go, oh, okay, well, hang on a second. What are my stats? Like, what's my win rate? What are the worst case scenarios? What's my MAE? All these kinds of things. This is critical if you're doing any kind of analysis to figure out, how do I get a bot that I would actually feel comfortable running for real. You got to look at the data, and it's not a hard thing to do, but it's maybe a lot of people don't like numbers. They don't like data. It's, I don't know, boring, or I don't know what. I like data. I don't know. I've never found data boring. I find it fascinating. But who knows? There are countless reasons why people do or don't like certain things, but anywho, workshop starts Saturday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern is the first class. And like I said, we've got a really good turnout already, but we can take some more. I would be happy to have more folks on. And if you want to learn how to build automation into Sierra Chart without having to go get a computer science degree and learn C++, etc. This is for you. This is going to be really great. And I am very much looking forward to it, and looking forward to the collaboration that'll come out of it, especially when we start talking about what are some of the ways we can risk manage this? What are some of the ways we can improve upon this? Because clearly, as I have so wonderfully demonstrated here, having no risk management will eventually bite you. And today turned out to be that day. So you got to put something in there. But there's no right answer to how do you do risk management. The answer is always it depends, because it does. So, and yes, Ari, past performance is not indicative of future results. That is always the case. Although, you know what? So on that note, there's an interesting phenomenon that I have observed since I've been automating for order flow as opposed to automating, price-based TA stuff. And that is that with all the TA automation I did, and I did, multivariate split testing with tens of thousands of variables and let the thing run for weeks on end to gather data, and just, oh my God, what a mess, what a waste of time. What always would happen is inevitably all you're doing is curve fitting, right? You are fitting your trading system's behavior to a past data set by multivariate iterating through all the different variables. That's all you're doing. You're curve fitting. And then you run it forward, right? And of course it sucks. Your forward testing, out of sample testing, whatever you want to call it, is always garbage. And I always found that over and over, every single time I took anything that I had done back testing on and tried to run it forward, it was universally crap. But interestingly, since I've been automating with order flow in mind, it's really interesting. The forward results nearly identical to the backtest results. They're not identical. There are some small changes, small variations, which is to be expected, but they're very close. I've taken days where I have run it live, gotten the results, and then I'll go back and rerun that same day, that same morning in replay, and it will get almost exactly the same results. Usually the bot will pick up in replay, that is, it will pick up an extra trade or two along the way. So, if I got 5 trades for real during the day, it'll get 6 or 7. So, the results are not exactly the same, but the trades that I did get, it will get. It is amazing. It blew my mind. And I was very distrustful of this when I first noticed this. This was about a week and a half ago that I first kind of really sat down and thought this through and went, okay, why does this seem to be happening? Because this can't really be. This seems like, holy grail, too good to be true. Like, I was very distrustful of it. But then I thought it through and I realized, it actually sort of makes sense, because in TA indicator stuff, you've got the problem that everything is usually price derived, right? Most of your indicators that everyone's using, your oscillators and your MACDs, whatever. Yes, they're lagging indicators and they're price based. And when the price information you're dealing with is nothing but open, high, low, close in a bar, the backtester doesn't know necessarily the order that those happened in, right? This is a big problem with price-based indicator backtesting. Is it just has bar data, open, high, low, close. And it knows that the open was here, the high was here, the low was here, and the close was here. But except for the open happened first and the close happened last, it doesn't know whether the high came before the low or the low came before the high, or what. So you get these anomalies. But with order flow, it's happening tick by tick by tick by tick. It's always the same. And it knows exactly when it happens because it's looking at it tick by tick, trade by trade. And so it actually made sense when I thought about it. I was like, holy crap, this completely makes sense. Why the results in a replay would be so close to reality. I don't want to believe it. Right. There's that cynic part of me, that skeptic. That's a better word. Not so much cynic, skeptic. The skeptic in me is like, that doesn't seem. Yeah, I don't think I can trust that. That's too good to be true. That can't be. But I've over and over, I've thought about it. I've looked at it. I've watched it. I've looked at the data. I've looked at the order of events, and it's like, but that's what it is. That's what's going on. Tick by tick in the order flow, the numbers stack up, and when they get to a certain level, and this is bigger than that, and whatever, it's so different from price-based indicator replay. It's really something. So the bottom line is, I feel so much more confident with the idea of running a bot that is order flow based on replay data that I've gathered than I ever have with a price-based indicator bot. I've never been confident with those because they never, ever work. Not once. Never seen one that works. They're always crap. They fall apart as soon as they go forward because they've been curve fit. That's what it is. But that doesn't happen with order flow. Like, there's no curve fitting here. I could, and this is an area where curve fitting can be a place to start, but it can get you in trouble. I could go back, look at my data and look at my losers. Again, look at that 3%, right? It's a 97 point whatever percent win rate bot. Look at the 3% and look at the MAE of the 3%, and those 3% losers lose this much. And so if I just do an arbitrary hard stop at this much, then, great, I can't lose. It's like, yeah, but that's still on a back test of data. That's historical data. And yes, that was true for that set of data, but is that going to be true necessarily going forward? Well, I don't know, but it's worth investigating for sure. It's worth finding out. But that's the kind of thing you learn by looking at data and you test and you iterate. And again, that's one of the reasons I love these evals, is because they give me a sandbox I can test in. That, like, I blew up an account this morning. It's going to cost me $15. I can live with that. Whereas, trading this, testing this in a cash account, I don't even think I'd be too nervous to even test it in a cash account. If I was testing an idea, I couldn't even feel like I could let it run. Every little time it took heat, I'd be like, better get out. And second guessing the bot. That's why I let that NQ trade just keep going, because I have too many times in the past not trusted my statistics, and I cut things off that end up playing out exactly to the statistics. And so I have to ask myself, am I card counting or not? Because if I am, if I'm playing that system, if I'm card counting in blackjack, I can't just arbitrarily decide I'm going to change up my system. I'm going to change the rules because I don't like this or the other, or, whatever. I can't do that. I have to just follow it. And over time, the edge will make itself apparent. So anywho, all right. No problem, Bill. I see you had to split. You probably aren't even hearing this, but that's cool. No worries. Thanks for coming. So let's see. Let me take a look at something else here real quick. I see. Oh, no, that's not a message for me. So that's fine. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything from anybody. And that looks cool. All right, good. Yeah, nothing from anybody else. So yeah. Any questions on any of this? Let me scroll back a little further and make sure I didn't miss something, because I thought I did jump past something. Oh, no. Okay. That was just random remark. Nothing specific. I did. I thought I missed something, Todd. Let's see. In regards to consecutive trades from my auto entry code, I automatically turn it off after each trade. Oh, and then a toggle button to turn it back on. Yeah. You know what? That is not a terrible idea at all, Todd. Is literally the bot, when you turn it on, it's allowed to take one trade, and then you have to decide, okay, do I still want to give it opportunities? For this particular bot, I don't do that, largely because what I have found is in the really good times, when it's a day that is going to be very opportunistic, is it will sometimes get the same setup 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row very, very quickly, faster than I could possibly execute on it, of course, because I don't have millisecond reflexes. And so, on those days, it's really good. But realistically, I mean, I knew today was a very dicey, risky day to run because, again, 2 days into rollover, day before FOMC, today had like everything earmarked. Danger, really, really sketchy day to run these. But, I wanted to run it, win or lose, and just let you guys see it happen anyway, because I've never shown this to anybody. Even like Lee hasn't seen this. Jeff hasn't seen this. Nick, nobody has seen this. This has been my little skunk works project that I've been working on I've been working on everything that led to this for years. But this particular bot I started building, a month and a half ago, something like that. All right. Let's see. What time is it? Okay, we're 9 minutes out. We're clearly not going to get any other opportunities here. We've gone completely into ebb and flow in the range. We did get the B to A. Oh, actually, sorry. I'm looking. That's RTY. Let's see. Did we get an ES? Oops, we're not. Let me zoom out a little bit so we can see both bars. Yes, we did. We got the B to the A to the downside. So yeah, I would normally, in a normal day of trading, if I was trading manually today, I got nothing else here anyway. My setups are done and dusted. So give the answer to your stat quiz. Oh, Matan, sure. So at the beginning, I led with a statistic that if you want to go explore, you can. And I'll go ahead and I'll tell you the answer, but it's a really interesting thing to go explore anyway. So I encourage you, stats junkies, especially, to go do that. And the question, I just closed my trade window. Not that it really matters, but just open it back up again. For you stats junkies, go back and take a look at how often is the high or low of the day, the high or low of the first hour, basically A period or B period, and has UB on it. So we open, we make UB at the low, and then we take off to the upside and never look back. And the low of the day is the A period low. Or maybe we ebb and flow, and then we put in the IB, and then maybe at the IB high, we put in a unfinished business at the IB high, and then we crash down and never look back and go straight down. And so how often is the A or B period high or low, both unfinished business and the high or low of the day? And the answer, and I went back many years, 6 years, 7 years, something like that worth of data to look at. The answer is less than 1% of the time. So Knowing that, it would seem that there is a very interesting possible opportunity to trade towards in the first hour. So that is the answer. Less than 1% of the time. And as I recall, a lot less than 1% of the time, like way, way less. I think it was actually like a tenth of 1% of the time. It was close to never. It does happen, but going back over 1,000 plus samples of data. Oh, I just did it in Sierra chart. I just, a couple of color bar based on alert condition formulas, and open up a chart with 1,000 days of data on it, and then look at the colored lines. That's it. I did it real simple. I didn't make it fancy. Didn't do any spreadsheet. Nothing complicated. Very simple stuff. And that's stuff that, if we have time in the workshop, we can jump into that. How to do that. I've got a day reserved. The last day, in fact, on the schedule is combination of looking at replay data and also optimization of, based on what you learn from the replay. And that's this day, July 1st, Saturday, July 1st is going to include a bunch of time spent in Google Sheets and in replay, looking at, how you set up stuff like that, how you look at things like that. So yeah, absolutely. It's all of this stuff is doable. Like these days, with the exception, like when I want to do a pivot table, I do that obviously in a spreadsheet program, right? Because you can't do a pivot table in a Sierra chart spreadsheet. But when I'm doing relatively simple stats stuff, I just want to know, like I just said, how often does X happen? I do it all directly in Sierra chart now. I don't export data to Excel. I don't deal in CSVs. I don't do any of that. I don't export anything to Google Sheets. I just don't bother. I just do it straight in Sierra chart because it's got a spreadsheet in it. So there you go. What do you need it for? So, Steve, is Sierra chart replay data like NT replay where you get the price ladder info too? Yes, absolutely. Sierra will replay full depth if you have full depth. Of course, you got to have the depth coming in. But if you've got the Denali feed and you enable the full depth in Sierra chart, you enable recording of historical depth. Then yes, when you play back, you will get full queue, the entire market depth. So that's part of what I was talking about with regards to order flow replay being so darn accurate and so close to reality is because all of that information is there. It's got all of it. All the order flow data is all there. So anything you were looking at live to make a decision, you have that same information available at the same time in the same order on replay. It's really very powerful to have that. So, all right. Well, why? Oh, let's see this. Sorry, Bauer. That stat less than 1% for ES only. Yes. Sorry. That was ES. When I'm looking at statistical stuff and I want numbers behind it, I only look at ES. I will then apply that thinking to other markets primarily because we are usually so well correlated that correlation kind of takes care of itself. However, that being said, we've talked about this in TRG a bit is recently, and by recently, I mean the last, what's it been? A couple months, I think. Correlation in the indexes has been less correlated than it has been in a long time. And, today kind of exemplified that as well. Everybody was pushing up and then NQ is just like, nah, see ya, I'm out of here. So correlation, is subject to change over time. But generally speaking, correlation takes care of it. So when I'm looking for numbers, I want to hang my hat on. I do that based on ES. So I've got an idea. I'm going to do something here for you guys. Those of you who are still here, and there's a lot of you, so thank you for joining me for this. I am going to do something. Hang on a second. Let me. Doing an audible here. I'm going to give you guys a little present for those of you who are still thinking of signing up. Let me just go set this up here. And okay, put that there, grab this, and That should, let's just make sure. Yes, that will do it. Okay. Here, do this, everybody, or well, everybody. Anybody who would like to join the workshop, the full price is on the page there /automate. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put this on screen. I'm not going to say what the number is. This is just for you guys who are here live. Take a look in the chat. And I have set you up a discount code. If you are on the fence about joining me for the workshop and being a participant on this fun time, you can save $200 by using the code there that is in the chat. And I would love to have you on. It's going to be a lot of fun and hopefully very informative and educational for y'all. That is my goal. Like I mentioned at the top, the idea of building bots for people and being like, one of those commercial bot vendors, everything about doing that doesn't feel good to me. I don't want to be on the hook for somebody else doing something with their bot and, losing a bunch of money. And I personally would never trust somebody else's bot that I don't understand intuitively, like completely, sorry, wrong word, not intuitively, intimately. That's the word I was looking for. If you don't understand it inside out, backwards and forwards, what are you doing running it? You just hugely high risk. All right, there we go. C period just opened. So we are done for the day with that. I want to know how to build it myself. You've got to be able to trust what you're doing and understand what it's doing. You have to know. And so I would much, much rather teach people the tools so that they can build their own and understand the pieces. Oh, a good point. Thank you. I was just told in the chat. That's a really good point. rgp.nl. Put the actual link in the chat for everybody. Make it so much simpler for you. Sorry about that. There you go. It's so much better to teach people. It's the whole. I know this is a cliche at this point, but the whole, teach a man to fish thing, whatever. But I believe that very much so. It is so true. And the people who sell black box bots or systems or even gray box systems that have a few parameters you can tweak, but then you just hope it works. I think that's a terrible idea. I think it's questionably ethical. I suppose I won't go quite so far as to call it unethical. I think it's right on the bleeding edge of ethical. But it's just not something I want to do. I don't want to be, I would feel responsible. And even if I had disclaimers galore, not responsible, trade and carry risk, all the usual disclaimers, I wouldn't feel good about it. I don't want to do that. I would much rather sit with somebody, work with them one-on-one or in a small group setting like this, and teach them, here's how you can do it yourself, because self-reliance is the ultimate. If you've got self-reliance, then you're not stuck where so many people always are, is they have an idea and they're thinking, gosh, if I could just have something that traded this. But then they got to go hire somebody. They go out to Upwork or, God help you, Fiverr or, wherever, forums, can somebody code me this? I see posts like that all the time. People looking they want to hire a coder to build them this. But they don't really, the coder is not necessarily a trader. So they may or may not be able to really articulate the idea to this person. And this person may or may not understand the vocabulary and the language. And so there's communication problems. And anyway, I don't think it tends to end well. And I don't recommend that approach to anybody. I really recommend, learn to do this yourself. And, because even if at some point, if you learn to do it yourself and you understand the components that go into it, then even if you don't want to build it yourself in the future, now when you go to hire someone to build something for you, you understand how to articulate the design. You understand how to explain it to them in a way that is much more likely to deliver you a finished product. And if that final product comes back to you and something about it doesn't work the way you wanted it to, or the way you thought it would, or whatever, you will be much more able to articulate, this isn't working because X, or this isn't the way it needs to be. It needs to be like Y, etc. And that communication, you got to be able to do that. And, Donnie, I know you joke chat JVC, but, chat GPT is yes, again, another cliche, but game changer. It really is. It's not quite there yet, in my opinion, for a lot of things, but I sat down with it a couple of weeks ago and I tried to get it to code me a PHP version of a product of mine that I sold many years ago, a long time ago. One of my early, I used to develop products for the marketing world, for marketing automation, stuff like that. Anyway, it was something I had built. And so I sat with ChatGPT and tried to get it to build me this WordPress plugin that did this certain thing. And ultimately it struggled, but it totally opened my eyes to the possibility, because frankly, it was a much better communicator than any developer I had ever hired. I could just sit down and ask it questions about things. And if something didn't work, I could say, okay, this code block here doesn't work. It breaks this way, fix it, and boom, it would just come back and do it. There was never any attitude. It had no ego about what it had done. It was amazing. And again, ultimately there were issues because it doesn't have memory. And so it would forget about the code it wrote 10 minutes ago. And, there were problems, but they're all solvable problems. They will all be solved. And so the future is going to be, I have an idea for a bot and I understand how to build it. Therefore, I understand how to communicate how to build it, which means I can go to ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, build me this thing. And I will be able to articulate what's not working and what needs fixing and so forth. Whereas I see people in forums and stuff, I asked ChatGPT to make me a script to do whatever, and it didn't work, and they have no idea. Like they don't know a thing about code. It just spit out some code, and they took that code and threw it on a page, and it doesn't work, and they don't know why. And that's never going to work out. Come on, you got to have some understanding of what's going on. You may not have to be a full blown developer, but you better at least understand what's going on. So, all right, let me see here. Phil just asked something. Whoops, it just scrolled off the screen. Sorry. Do you think we will be able to use ChatGPT? To do stuff within the spreadsheet? You couldn't today. I mean, ChatGPT doesn't know anything about a Sierra Chart spreadsheet. It's not like it's somehow integrated into Sierra Chart or whatever, but it can certainly deal with CSV data. And I have seen people get ChatGPT, coax it to give them data in a CSV delimited format that they can then take and stick into a spreadsheet. So it can certainly do that. You can tell it, give me a list of the following information organized by such and such, blah, blah, blah. You can just describe the data set that you want. And assuming that it has the data, it will spit it out. So yeah, that kind of thing can be done. It's possible also. I mean, ChatGPT 4 is out now, and I haven't played with that one yet. I've just been using the free public 3.5 or whatever it is. It's possible that 4 could do a lot more from what I've read with plugins and stuff. It can access the internet now, and it can do stuff, which is a little scary, but also really cool. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of possibilities for that. Let's see. Whoa. Everything started to scroll here. Let's see. Yeah, AI music. AI music also excites me. I think there's a lot of interesting possibilities of that. I'm not wild about what everyone's doing with it right now, but it's early days. This is typical of what happens with a new technology like ChatGPT. Is people are just, I made a song that sounds just like Kanye and you can't tell the difference. Like, why do I want to hear that? Like, who cares? It's still crap. Like, there's nothing creative here. It's just derivative nonsense. But there are other musicians who are using it to make sounds and soundscapes and instrumental things and stuff like that, whatever, that they then take as a human artist and they manipulate and chop up and sample and resample, and that is creativity. There's lots of possibility there, lots of cool things that can be done there. So yeah, Todd. As a matter of fact, ChatGPT can generate Axle code. I've actually asked it to. I was curious a month and a half ago or so to see if it could do it. So I asked it to make me a Sierra Chart, an Axle plugin that did something. I don't even remember what it was. It was something simple, and it spat out some code. And that code didn't work. at all. It did nothing. And I sent the code to Lee and I said, I didn't really expect that it would work, but I was just curious. And it gave me some code. What do you think of this code? And Lee took one look at it and said, yeah, that code will never do anything. And I didn't understand why, because I don't know C++, but it was very obvious to him that the code would never work, because ChatGPT, while it knew in broad strokes, it knows C++, and in broad strokes, it knew Axel, because that there's information on it in its training set from 2021. Still, it didn't know some of the very specific language constructs and things like that are in Axel enough for that code to actually work. So it didn't work, but it happily gave me the code and very confidently said, here's the code that will do that. That's the funny thing about these GPTs, is they are very confident even when they are completely wrong. So yeah, a little scary, the possibilities about that. But yeah, Jeff, I don't know. A new Lane Staley album, I think, would make a lot of people pretty upset. I think my other half would probably be very bothered by that. She's a huge Lane fan. And I don't know how she feels about that. Actually, that's an interesting question. If it ever happens, I'll have to play it for her and see what she thinks. Maybe if it ever happens, I'll play it for her as like an undiscovered track or something, and see what she thinks of it before I reveal. I don't know. We'll see if that ever happens. So, yeah, Alex, I know you're on the workshop already. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad that you are participating. It's going to be good to have you as a student again. It'll be a fun class. So anyway, I think we can go ahead and wrap it there. We've got the initial balance, obviously, and I was only planning to run this up to the initial balance. So if there are any remaining questions, by all means, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll call this Burning Desires, as we say in TRG. Last chance to throw stuff out. If there's anything that you're just dying to ask or say, do it now. And you're very welcome, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me. It would have been a nice hit, shot in the arm to my ego if everything had gone gangbusters and the bot had just made $1,000 today, something, whatever. But you can't control what the markets are going to do, and I fully expected today could be a dicey day. And unfortunately, it was all because of NQ. Dang it. I just shouldn't have traded NQ, but hey, woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? Oh, final results for the bot. The bot's actually here. Hang on. I'm not sure the numbers because they're not on my screen right now. Let me just switch accounts again. And it's hidden behind there. I can't get to it. There it is. Yeah, final bots got wrecked to the tune of down about 12-ish $100. Up 20, yeah, so down about $1,200, which was just enough to blow up that eval. So there you go. Yeah, NQ is what killed it. NQ down 900, and then of course the YM trade got stopped out. Actually, you know what? Now I'm curious. Hang on, I should look at the YM and see. Did it ever get back up there? Where are we? 830. I can't quite fit 2 bars on here. Let's zoom out. There we go. Did we ever get back up there? No, we did not. So the YM trade would actually still be stuck in it, because we just went totally range bound, which is what I expected from today. Pre FOMC, I expected range boundness, and that's exactly what we got. But we didn't get it at the open. That's what tricked me into getting involved into the long side, was that initial push up, and then we just settled down into we're going to go nowhere and do nothing. So today could be one of those days where we don't even break the IB. The 12% of days or whatever. Or no, it's like 2% of days or something, I think, that don't break the IB at all. It's really, really low. So and by the way, so to TRG members, no, the TRG member price is still perfectly valid. That is in the pit. So you're still good on that. Thank you for clarifying that. I should have probably said that because I know a lot of you are TRG. So yeah, if you are thinking of attending and you're not already in, use the TRG code. So you're still good for that. Absolutely, Todd. It's going to be good. Going to be fun. Hopefully y'all come away with it with some excited ideas and new ways of thinking about the possibilities, and we'll get some great discussions going in the class stream in the pit. So, okay, we'll wrap it there. I'll give you all 10 seconds or so to throw any last things in the chat if you've got them. Otherwise, we will call it a day and get back to our existing life already in progress. Oh, I know, 4 days. Tell me about it. I'm still refining and tweaking little things about the presentation material. And I've also, here, I'll give you guys another sneak peek of something else I'm doing. Where is it? Where did it go? I had it someplace. Hang on. There it is. Here's something else that I'm putting together. I am putting together these workflows that are literally going to be walk you through every single piece of building the bot. No explanation. This is not explaining what anything is doing, but this is something that I think will be really helpful after the workshop when you're reviewing the videos and you want to just go straight to the steps and then use the videos where we discuss them to fill in the blanks. So I think that's going to be just another learning modality, another way for people to exercise the thinking on this, and the visual learning, auditory learning. There's so many different ways to learn. So I'm hopeful that this will additionally act as another reinforcement method to help you understand what's going on. And if you get stuck on something, you're trying to just do it yourself, and something doesn't work, you can go back and basically use this as a cheat sheet and go, okay, what did I miss? And oh, I missed this step. Okay, there it is. So yeah, I think that'll be really helpful and really useful. So. Cool. All right, gang. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. We will all talk soon. Have a great rest of your day. Tomorrow is Wednesday. So we've got, Dojo. Darren's Dojo is tomorrow, and I'm leading it because Darren's in Europe. And I forgot. I better come up with something to do for tomorrow, huh? Oh, boy. Busy week. Cool. All right, gang. Talk to you later. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.